It's your girl, Professor Cinephile. I know, it's been a while. But I told y'all in the last video that, I'm working on this new project and I'm doing these reviews for a new publication and I've been loving it and I hope that you all will check it out. Check out the website right there and you can go and check out what I've been doing. So here's what I wanted to do though. I wanted to actually do a video about a piece that I'm actually writing and because I feel like I can elaborate more in video. You're limited in word count and things like that. And so you can't really get in depth to some of the reviews as much as I'd like to. So I figured that I would have this kind of as a companion piece. So you can watch this or you can read the article. It's up to you when it comes out. So, and I'll put the link to it in the comments. So I am going to talk about um, a film that I didn't even know was coming out. Oh, but I'm so happy that my friend invited me to go and I went to see it. Spoiler alert, I am going to talk about some things that go on in this film, so you know the drill. Pause now, come back after you've seen it if you just want my thoughts on it. But if you're okay with the spoilers, go ahead. I'm talking about Saturday Night. And Saturday Night is directed by Jason Reitman, who gave us Juno, which, we love Juno. And it is about the first night of the premiere of what is now Saturday Night Live. Um, and I was just like, of course I want to see this. Like, what? How come I didn't know this was coming out? It so I got to start and just I'm hardcore Saturday Night Live fan. For those of you who may not know what Saturday Night Live is, it is a sketch comedy show that comes on. It airs Saturday night on NBC in the United States, and it is now in its 50th season. So it debuted October, I believe October 11th, 1975, right? So they're going into like this like 50th celebration season and all this kind of stuff. So this is really a good time for this film to come out. And so what it's doing, it's coming from the perspective, well, not necessarily the perspective, but it is following Lorne Michaels, who is the executive producer. And I think I don't know if he's still one of the head writers, but Lorne Michaels, creator of this show, it's following him the first night that the show is set to go on air. And it starts about 2 hours before this show begins. And it's really interesting because it's like, it's giving you over the course of the film, it's almost in real time because I think the film is like an hour and 49 minutes. So it's like almost, up to the minute of it. And it's kind of like seeing like this is what was happening the first night as they were trying to get this together and put this show on. So to give you a little bit of background story, like Johnny Carson and his Tonight Show was like the talk of the town. It was like the top show. He really set the bar for what late night talk shows would be like, and everybody has tried to mimic and copy him, ever since. I think they still do today. Arsenio did it, Conan O'Brien did it. Everybody has tried to copy his style because it was so had such an impact, right? So Lorne Michaels comes and he had been working on some other stuff for the station, and he had this idea of like a show that would bring together sketches, a little bit of stand up here and there, musical performances, all kinds of things, like a variety show. And so we'd had variety shows. We'd had Flip Wilson, we'd had Carol Burnett, Sonny and Cher, this not, everybody, I feel like everybody had a damn variety show. But this was going to be, it was supposed to be more, I would say darker. Okay. So we're getting, first of all, it's supposed to be coming on late night on a Saturday. Now, people are either usually out partying, having a good time, or they're at home, right? So this was supposed to be a little more biting, incisive, a little more like digging because it's coming on late night. So it's going to be more provocative. It's going to be edgier. This was the whole concept and the idea, right? Except they didn't have any approval. that night they weren't even sure if the show was going to go on because they had no approval from the bigwigs, right? So the film is really like kind of takes you on this like background behind the scenes, what was happening that night leading up to this show coming on air. Now we know that the show did eventually air, but as you're watching it, you're like, oh my God, are they going to pull this off? Like, and that is to, Jason Reitman's credit that he them and him as the director, cinematographer, and the writers are like really pulling you into this moment. The frenetic energy, the anxiety, the confusion, the chaos behind the scenes, right? They're pulling you in, and you're right there with them. Now, one of the things I love about this film is that there are a lot of lesser known actors and actresses in this film, right? You've got Lorne Michaels is played by a young man named Gabriel LaBelle. I'd never heard of him before this. But when I tell you, he truly embodies a younger Lorne Michaels, even though he's 21 and I think Lorne was like 31 when this happened. He really rises to the challenge of portraying someone who is simultaneously elusive and overbearing, you know. But anyway, he captures, the nuances of Lorne Michaels' character. Then you got Corey Michael Smith, who's playing Chevy Chase. Now, if most of us know Chevy Chase from things like the National Lampoon franchise, we know him to be a very physical, kind of goofy actor or what have you. But at this time, when he was doing Saturday Night Live for this first season, he was kind of like the sex symbol. He was a little bit of a divo, actually, if you really want to think about it. Like he was the man. And so this guy, Corey Michael Smith, is playing Chevy Chase, and he's given us that. And it's like really interesting, kind of like, oh, that's right. Chevy Chase was kind of like an it boy, you know? So you have that. You've got Lamorne Morris, who plays Garrett Morris. Now, Garrett, there's no relation, but Garrett Morris was the first Black cast member. And he was like a trained actor, like, classic actor, and he's coming and doing this. And so you get to learn more about Garrett Morris and his story through Lamorne, who actually is an Emmy winner. Okay. But again, that name may not ring a bell for a lot of people. You've got Ella Hunt. She is an English actress. She's playing Gilda Radner. And she's I like okay, if you know anything about Gilda Radner, you know that she is one of the quirkiest, kind of unpredictable comedians that we've ever known. And what she brought to Saturday Night Live was just really, she was this jewel of a woman. And it's really interesting to me because I know a lot of the behind the scenes stories of people's lives, and a lot of people were conflicted with a lot of things. There was a lot of substance addiction, there was mental health problems, suicidal ideation, all those kinds of things that were going on with these folks. But they were all bringing this energy to this set and to this stage to produce, a show that is equally frenetic and chaotic and up and down and really kind of reflecting the energy of the cast there, right? But the breakout, I mean, I think these were all breakout performances, but the person who stood out to me the most was Matt Wood, a young actor. I first thought it was Jack Black. I was just like, but I was also high. You guys know I don't. Okay. He looks just like Jack Black, and so I was like, is this Jack Black? But I was like, no, Jack Black is older than this. It's a young actor named Matt Wood who plays John Belushi. And if you know anything about Belushi, you know his complicated life, right? But he did start off, at Saturday Night Live and kind of made his way and became this like super like famous, movie star or what have you. But he had a lot of issues, and this young man really kind of captured that. Then we have Nicholas Braun, who plays he plays both Jim Henson and Andy Kaufman. Now, Andy Kaufman, I think there was a film called Man on the Moon or something like that that was about him. Um, Andy Kaufman, very complicated, person, but also key contributor to Saturday Night Live's kind of ethos and all of that. So he played both characters because somebody had dropped out. So he was doing double duty. Very talented. You don't necessarily recognize that when you're watching the film. I had to like read the casting. I was like, wait, that's the same guy playing two characters. Then you have Dylan O'Brien who plays Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd, again, we're talking people that we know now later many of them went on to have these tremendous film careers, become really established household names, and they got their start here, in this group of crazy kids kind of just wanting to be funny. So the film really takes you through all that. You start learning more about their different personalities in these earlier parts of their careers. You start seeing how they get together. You see the process of how they try to figure out what sketches they're going to do, because Lauren has all these sketches, all these things planned, and doesn't know what to do, and they're trying to work through it. You learn a lot about some of the women, the early women that were writers and producers of the show. They don't always get, women from that time don't always get the props that they deserve. So I thought that this film, really did a great job of that. You have John Batiste, who does the music for the film, but also plays the legendary Billy Preston. He's really funny in there, and there's a good scene between him and Garrett Morris that I think, had a certain level of cultural relevance that was necessary for this, because the lack of African American comics and actors on the show has been a thing. They were having issues getting Latinos, Asians, all those kinds of things. These were things that they had to work on over time. And so there was some kind of tokenism going on. I don't think that it was malicious, but I also think that Garrett had to deal with a lot being the only black guy. And I think the next person to come might have been Eddie Murphy. I'll check the stats or what have you. But he did a great job. And then so there was a really nice scene between the two of them, where it's almost a brotherly bonding moment that I thought was really nice. I want you to see this. If you are somebody who likes behind the scenes films, you'll enjoy this, right? If you are somebody who like wants to know kind of like a true story, but kind of fictionalized, but also a true story of how things went down, um, you'll like this. If you are a Saturday Night Live fan, like I've been riding the Saturday Night Live wave through their ups and downs. They have different eras that were like really classic. This was a classic era. You had Jane Curtin, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Garrett Morris, Gilda Radner, John Belushi, like come on, Jim Henson was there. George Carlin was in this first show doing his stuff. Like these are heavy hitter people that were all in the same room that night. And so if you are interested in that kind of thing, I definitely say you should go for it. Um, if you like kind of like these darker kind of noir films that kind of give you the story behind the story behind the story, then you'll really like this. I thought it was well done. I think this was a stellar cast. The casting for this film was fantastic. When we talk about understand the assignment, each person that showed up understood exactly what the assignment was for who they were supposed to be. Okay. Um, everybody, like it was, I'm gonna give this one 4 hearts. Now I did fall asleep a little bit. But that's me, y'all. Y'all should be used to me by now, okay? I'm gonna give it 4 hearts though. Yeah. I no, I'm gonna give it 4.5. I'm gonna give it 4.5. I really enjoyed it. Like it was really compelling. So I think you should go see it. Yeah. It was a film that caught me off guard because I didn't know that it existed, but I'm so glad that I saw it, and I definitely recommend that you all go and watch it.